Hey guys, and welcome back to the Fantasy Table brought to you by the Blue Stable. I am once again your host, Luke Furkamp, and tonight Austin could not join me. He had some medical stuff going on that he needed to check out. So, yes, he could not join me. Prayers up to him. Hopefully, everything is okay. Think so, but never know for sure until it's for sure. But anyway, today I am going to talk about the rookie class. I'm not going to go over every single prospect. I'm just going to go over the main guys because a lot of the question marks are around the top guys, really. Yeah, first off, we'll get off with the news and stuff like that. And I know it's been a couple weeks, which I'm sorry. I wish that we would have been able to do it a week after the draft so we could have done that mock draft while everything was still fresh. But this also gives us time to think about it and kind of let it soak in and not just go over just raw reaction to everything going on because there was a lot that went on. But either way, I'm going to just go ahead and start off with the news. We'll try and make it a quick one for you guys today since it is just me. But first off, we got the Giants. They are looking to trade Kadarius Toney. This is surprising because they just drafted him with their first round pick last year, which I understand it's a whole new general manager coaching cycle here. So for the Giants, and they're probably just trying to recoup on some players that they don't think are as valuable to their future. I know Saquon Barkley was rumored to be on the trade block earlier this offseason. Just didn't happen because teams understand the value of running backs in this day and age, and so they weren't going to give up too much for Saquon. But Toney, I doubt he gets moved, but with the Giants taking Wan'Dale Robinson in the second, that makes me think they are really trying to get rid of him. So we'll see what happens, but there's a lot of wide receivers there in the Giants. You still got Kenny Golladay there as well, Sterling Shepard, and a couple other guys that are just hanging around. But they still got Daniel Jones as their quarterback, so we'll see how much they can even get if they stay with the Giants. Melvin Gordon is back to Denver. Rest in peace to Javonte, running back 1 overall season. No longer happening. It's probably going to be about the same as what it was last year. Maybe just this time it's more favored to Javonte instead of Melvin Gordon, but who knows? Javonte's still Denver's future. They probably will want to do some sort of committee because that's what the NFL is just going to nowadays. But yeah, Denver gets back Melvin Gordon, which is great, NFL wise. They just bolster up that offense even more with Russell Wilson there. Just try to keep pushing those chips in. To me, this is a lot better for Melvin Gordon than Baltimore would have been because Baltimore would have been the same situation, except you would have had Lamar Jackson as your quarterback taking a lot of the rushing touchdowns. And Gus Edwards is also a very capable backup compared to I don't even know who Denver has right now outside of Javonte and Melvin Gordon. Now, these next two are the big trades that happened during the draft. First off, Marquise Hollywood Brown is headed to Arizona. This is actually great for him because also before I get into the other trade, DeAndre Hopkins was suspended for 6 games. So most likely that was why the Cardinals wanted to trade for Hollywood Brown. But he's reuniting with one of his old quarterbacks, Kyler Murray. They used to play together. Forget if it was in high school or in college. But either way, they used to play together, and now they're reunited. I think Hollywood is a great fit for this Cardinals offense. I think he's going to do great. I feel like it would have been a bit better if DeAndre would have been on the field yet because now he's going to be the number 1 wide receiver there. But yeah, I really do like this for Hollywood because he was a 1,000-yard receiver last year in Baltimore, and that's when with Lamar missing a lot towards the end of the season, which Hollywood got a lot of his production at the beginning of the season when Lamar was in and everything. But now he's going from a run-first offense to a pass-first offense, and a guy that is more willing to pass the ball than run the ball, even though Kyler is known to run the ball as well. I think it's a better passing offense altogether. So I really like this for Hollywood. The other big trade, which as a Colts fan was my favorite, was A.J. Brown to Philadelphia. Love this for the Colts. But otherwise, like A.J. Brown's taking a dip down in Dynasty. He was like one of the top 5 receivers, and now I still think he's probably top 10, but he's definitely taking a dip down because Jalen Hurts, like we saw with Devonta Smith last year, just not great. Devonta Smith, this hurts Devonta Smith a bunch. Goddard, it kind of hurts Goddard as well, but I mean, NFL-wise, Philadelphia, they did amazing on their flip from Carson Wentz to now they're getting A.J. Brown basically plus others for what they had from Carson Wentz. But yeah, the Titans, I know they took Treylon Burks, whose pro comparison is A.J. Brown. I did the whole thing on Twitter where it was like, oh, like your mom says, oh, or no, like, so the joke was, hey, we want A.J. Brown, and Titans were like, oh, we have A.J. Brown at home, and A.J. Brown at home is Treylon Burks. Because Treylon Burks is compared to A.J. Brown quite a bit. I understand why they did it because of cap reasons, because they didn't want to have to pay him that $100 million. They're probably going to need to do a slight mini rebuild. But all in all, you're getting a guy that might be A.J. Brown wherever you had A.J. Brown already. And I know the wide receiver market is crazy, but you weren't even really paying him that much. If all he was going for is 4-year, $100 million. But yeah, we'll see how Treylon does. The Falcons released Mike Davis, which he was then picked up by Baltimore. This is great for J.K. Dobbins. They did not spend a day 2 pick on a running back. They did not get Melvin Gordon, and they got Mike Davis. Obviously, they were bringing in more people to the backfield, and bringing in Mike Davis means great things for J.K. Dobbins because Mike Davis, he was great a couple of years ago for Carolina. He's not that good anymore. Newsflash. Obviously, we could see it last year in Atlanta. But yeah, and the last newsworthy information was Sony Michel went to Miami. Not really big news, but he's still a very decent running back. I think that he's just going to take touches away from Gaskin. Chase Edmonds, I still think is pretty okay, but it's a crowded backfield there now. You got Gaskin, you got Edmonds, you got Mostert, and you got Sony Michel there. To me, it's just a bunch of average running backs. Chase Edmonds has a high ceiling. So if I'm taking any of them in any draft, I'm taking Chase Edmonds. But now moving on to these rookies, I'm just going to go quick overview on how I like these rookies. I'll go from my personal rankings, but yeah, take it with a grain of salt because I don't watch college football, so I only base it off of what I know, what I've read, I do research. It's not like I don't do any research, but I'm basing off what I think and its landing spots and everything. But number 1, Breece Hall, great running back prospect. I think that he's I'd say easily a top 10 dynasty running back right now. I saw a tweet earlier today, actually, that was like, oh, I just saw Breece Hall, who's on the Jets, go before Dalvin Cook and Christian McCaffrey in a startup. And to me, I think he easily should. Because it's dynasty, you keep these guys for their career, basically, unless you trade them. The younger guys are more valuable because you're going to have them for longer. And especially these guys that are – so Breece Hall, to me, like, I know people say, oh, Michael Carter's there, but to me, Michael Carter doesn't mean much. Michael Carter is basically Naheem Hines to me now. worse version of me Hines to me, because Hines, he can go out wide sometimes. I don't think he's going to do it that much, but Hines is more of a strictly receiving down back. Brees Hall is more than capable as a receiving down back. I think he's going to get a good workload. I don't think it's anything going to be like Najee Harris last year or anything like that, but I think it's going to be a good workload that it's worth the draft capital that you're going to put into him. He was the first running back taken in this year's draft for a reason. I think he should be the number one overall pick, no questions asked. And then, so these next three are the wide receiver group. Really, it's interchangeable depending on what you're looking for. To me, my favorite wide receiver from this class is Drake London. Why he was drafted number 8, I believe, by the Falcons there. He was the first wide receiver off the board. He's a great prospect. It's just that you're going to have Marcus Mariota throwing you the ball this year, and Kyle Pitts is there. But other than that, he is fighting in the wide receiver room with Omide, Zacchaeus, and Auden Tate. And I forget the other guy because it's a bunch of no names. But yeah, next year, if they ended up not doing so well and they take one of the top quarterback prospects next year, or maybe Desmond Ridder turns out to be something because he fell in the draft and got selected by the Falcons. But yeah, Drake London, my favorite out of the group, mainly because of his prospect profile and the draft capital put into him, and just the competition for targets is about none. Next up, man, this is really a 50-50 for me. It's basically 2A, 2B for wide receivers. But 2A for me would be Garrett Wilson. I like him just a tad more. I know the landing spot's worse because Elijah Moore is in New York, and you also have Brees Hall there. Like it's a very crowded offense now that they're building around Zach Wilson, unlike Chicago, who's doing nothing for Justin Fields. But anyway, Garrett Wilson, I really like him coming out of college. He had so many teammates that were being drafted high in the NFL draft, which is a good thing, but he still dominated Ohio State, which means that he is a really good prospect. Wherever you have Chris Olave, who's going in the first round, Saints basically traded 3 first-round picks to get Chris Olave. Jameson Williams used to be a classmate of his. He has Jackson Smith-Njigba, who's going to be the number 1 wide receiver prospect next year. All on the team, and he's still dominating the target share at Ohio State. That means that's just good. It's good numbers to see. Well, yes, he's on the Jets. Elijah Moore is there. I do think Elijah is probably going to go to the slot, which is a better fit for him, better fit for this offense. I think Garrett's going to get a lot of the targets. He's going to be that prototypical X wide receiver that you're looking for in fantasy. And yeah, I just like him with this offense. I kind of believe in the Jets offense a little more than most people because I do kind of like Zach Wilson. But yeah, I still think Garrett Wilson should be the second wide receiver. And then 2B is Treylon Burks. Treylon Burks is only this high because of the landing spot. Because just like Drake London, his only target competition is the 30-year-old Robert Woods coming off an ACL injury. And Chester Rogers, I believe, is still there. Maybe Nick Westbrook-Keene, or however you say his last name, is still there. It's just not a lot. Tennessee, in the worst way, needs Treylon Burks to be A.J. Brown right away. Whether that happens or not, I don't know. But I think he's going to get a lot of targets this year in Tennessee. I liked him coming out of college, but not as much as the other two that I already spoke about. I really wish Burks would have went to the Packers because that would have been such a great spot. But either way, all is in the past. Treylon Burks is my 2B for wide receiver. Now in this next grouping it's kind of a pretty big grouping for me. But I know fantasy likes to revolve around the running back position. So I would take Kenneth Walker at, let's see, what was this, 5? At 5, I would take Kenneth Walker. I know Rashad Penny's back on a 1-year contract. It's just a 1-year contract. He can never stay healthy because, I mean, we saw it in his career. He just never was healthy. He has the talent, just can't stay on the field. Chris Carson, I really don't even know if he'll be able to play football again. So I worry about him even playing. But this is Kenneth Walker's backfield to lose. They spent a second-round pick on him. He's going to be their guy for the next few years, and it's a run-first offense anyway. So with a bad quarterback, so yeah, I think you take Kenneth here. But wide receivers, you got. I'd probably go Chris Olave next over any of the other guys. Chris Olave to me is a perfect fit in that Saints offense. We've seen Jameis Winston help receivers in fantasy before. He's been able to hold 2 relevant fantasy wide receivers before, Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, which, funny enough, now you got Chris Olave and Mike Thomas. I really think that it could be almost mirrored. Like Mike Thomas could be what Mike Evans was, and Chris Olave has the potential to be Chris Godwin. I'm not saying that it's going to happen like that, but I like the potential here in New Orleans. They spent a lot to get him, so they're going to use him in this offense some way, somehow. Now, moving on, we got another bit of a grouping, but Jameson Williams, I would say, is next, personally. He's crazy fast. Crazy fast, good receiver. Jared Goff's there now, I know, but Jared Goff isn't a terrible quarterback. I know people think that he isn't terrible. Yes, he's not good. I would say maybe average at best. But Detroit is in a rebuild. They know it. They are probably looking for a quarterback next year. They probably will be towards the top of the draft again, and there's a lot more top-tier quarterbacks next year. Now, these next 2 are hard. It's another one of those 1A, 1B type things. But for me, Christian Watson, I'd put above Sky Moore just because Christian Watson's landing spot. He's going to Green Bay. He has a ton of talent, but it's whether or not he can put it on the field, put it to good use. His target competition is Allen Lazard and Sammy Watkins. If his talent is used correctly, I think that he's going to shine in this offense. That's why I'm taking him over Sky Moore. But Sky Moore is my next receiver because of the Chiefs offense, but also I've knocked him down that spot just because you got Juju there, you got Marquez Valdes-Scantling there. Travis Kelce's still there. There's more target competition. If it was like Chris Olave that was going to the Chiefs, then I think that I would have been higher on Chris Olave than what I am right now. But since it's only Sky Moore, which I still like Sky Moore, I wish that the Colts would have picked him, but I'm very happy with Alec Pierce as well. He fits what the Colts are doing. But either way, Sky Moore is my next wide receiver there. And then I'm taking the chance on my next pick here with James Cook. James Cook, small running back, brother to Dalvin, and for those who do not know, but he's a lot smaller than what Dalvin is. So he's not really going to be a big body running back who's getting a lot of touchdowns or anything like that. But he is kind of I do like his fit in the Buffalo offense because he's receiving down back. I feel like he can be used on the field quite a bit because they love to throw the ball with Josh Allen. No reason why they shouldn't, because Josh Allen is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL right now. But yeah, I'm taking the shot on him just for the fact that he is in that offense with Josh Allen. taking that every time. And then now's a pretty big teardrop for me. But I'm not going to go too many further because I don't know as much on the guys after a few that I'm talking about here. But next up, I'm doing George Pickens. Deontay Johnson, I believe, is in the last year of his contract. Actually, let me check that right now. But either way, Deontay Johnson is towards the end of his contract. And they're getting a new quarterback. They got Kenny Pickett, but also Trubisky. I think Trubisky will probably start the year. But either way, Steelers, they always seem to get talented wide receivers in the second round of drafts that fall to them just perfectly. George Pickens, very talented wide receiver. I think he could be the next good one. But also Steelers just don't keep their own wide receivers in. Antonio Brown was really the only one that they did because you see guys like Mike Wallace that leaves. Gosh, I know there's quite a few more, but either way, yeah, Deontay Johnson is in the last year of his contract, so he potentially will be leaving next year, depending on how he does this year. Yeah, George Pickens to me is the next guy, just because I think the future is bright with him. Next up, the slide ends, and I would take Jihad Dotson here. I did not like the landing spot for him in Washington, but he was a first-round pick. He's going to be used. They got Terry McLaurin there and Curtis Samuel. Good receiving core. Probably better wide receivers than he's played with almost in his whole career. And by he, I mean Carson Wentz. Should have specified there. But yeah, I'm not super high with Dotson just because of that landing spot. I think he's mainly going to be used as like a field stretching option. But I don't know. I don't know a whole lot about Dotson. I didn't think he was going to be that high in the first round. But just because of the first round draft capital, as well as possibility of changing quarterback, because I know they did sign undrafted free agent Sam Howell, I believe, but I still think they're probably going to be looking for a quarterback sometime soon. Carson Wentz just seems to be like that journeyman type guy. I don't know how long he's going to be in Washington. I hope he succeeds. I wish him the best, but I don't see Dotson getting a whole lot there in Washington with Wentz at quarterback. David Bell I have next. And the big reason for David Bell is because he's at Cleveland. Amari Cooper's there. David Njoku's there. From what it sounds like, Jarvis Landry is out on Cleveland. I know Cleveland offered him a deal, but he refused it. It was a one-year deal. I guess he wants a multi-year deal, or it was something with the money. Hard saying. I just know they turned it down. So I think Landry's out. David Bell could be the second receiver, which having Deshaun Watson as your quarterback and your second option, not a bad thing at all. And then the last two that I'm going to talk about are a couple more running backs. First one being Rachaad White by Tampa Bay. Leonard Fournette's still there, yes. Keyshawn Vaughn is there. But Rachaad White, they spent a surprising 91st overall pick in the draft. I was surprised they used that early of a pick on a running back because I like Keyshawn Vaughn and Leonard Fournette is still Leonard Fournette. But if they're getting their backup plans, I think Rachaad White could be their running back of the future. And the last guy is Damian Pierce. Pierce is just kind of all he has to beat out is Marlon Mack to win that starting job, and it's doable. I don't know if he will because Marlon Mack is pretty good running back, but yeah, they spent a decent draft capital pick on him. We're taking the shot on him. I'm willing to take the shot in like late second, early third of my rookie draft on him, just in case he does, because starting running back is valuable in fantasy football. Touches are touches. But yeah, anyway, those are my rookie rankings. Hopefully Austin is on next week. We can do a rookie mock draft and he can teach me a lot more about these rookies because I am still doing my research on them. So this is a very flexible ranking list, but my top guys I feel pretty confident in because I know a little bit more about those guys than I do these later guys. But yeah, if you guys want to comment and tell me who you have in your rookie rankings and why I am very wrong, let me know down below. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at the Fantasy Table, at Luke Verkamp, at the Austin Isaac. But yeah, I think that is all I have for you guys today. Once again, hope and wish for the best for Austin. I hope that he's feeling good now. But yeah, hope you guys have a good day, good evening, good morning, whenever it is you're watching this, listening to this. I appreciate you guys. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.